Because right now, more than ever, in my opinion, people work for, buy from, partner with organizations who they love and trust. If they can't love and trust you, they're gone. There's opportunity all over this place, this world. And if you, as organizations, we have a responsibility to provide that. But then, once you're going through that, all the other stuff remains the same regardless of the industry. It's what's your point of differentiation? How are you amplifying that to the world? And are you amplifying that to the world in a way that is consumable given the times that we're in today, right? Because the way that we would amplify proof 5 years ago is very different than the way we would amplify proof now.
This episode is produced and distributed by Be Connected. We help senior marketing leaders and business decision makers transform their social media and content into strategic growth engines. Hi, and welcome to The Spun Show. I'm Brad Cebulski, your host. What is The Spun Show? It's an opportunity for us to pause, reflect, and listen to all of the things that we can learn from others around us. Today, I'm really pleased to have my friend and peer and client, Jeff Satterberg, here in the studio to talk about his career path. We talk about things that he's learned across multiple industries, such as pharmaceutical sales, to scaling beverage distribution companies across the country, to supplements and in the health industry, all the way to combining 3 different print shops and print entities into one new brand moving forward. As we absorb those kind of learnings from his career journey, we can also talk about the positive influence of friction. Friction can be a negative term, but when you get the right people around the table that allow you to really lean into each other's strengths and challenge where ideals might be coming up short, it propels your brand forward. Let's dive in. Well, thanks everybody for being here. And thank you, Jeff, for being here. I really appreciate your time here on The Spun Show. And as our listeners know, and the internet might know or not know, if this is your first time joining us, is that we want this show to be a sponge so that we can all absorb the information and learnings from people in our community and people that we work with every day. And Jeff has such an awesome story about what has led him to do what he's doing now and the steps he's taken along the way. So without going too much into that, Jeff, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do now and what brought you to that point in your career?
Yeah, I'd love to. First off, I have to just say thank you. Thanks for having me. I love the concept. I love the idea of gathering intelligence and learnings from those around us in the community. There's so much to be had there. And it's just a pleasure to be here. And a pleasure to be here with you. My name's Jeff Satterberg, and I'm currently the founder, CEO of NEXUSSHIFT Consulting, in which I help organizations connect brand, people, and strategy and get through the complexities of change and integration and doing that and to helping them maximize their output and what they bring to the world. And that has led me to an incredible piece of work that I'm working on right now, and you're very involved in this as well, with working with Wisconsin River Partners and bringing together 3 amazing generational companies that do print and many other services. Hireman Printing in Green Bay, Sun Printing in Wausau, and Delzer Lithography down in Waukesha. And these organizations were acquired over the last 2.5, 3 years by Wisconsin River Partners. And really what we've been doing is capturing the awesomeness that each one of them have independently, because they do each have their niches that they're amazing at. We are driven by print, both large offset, large format printing, but we also do things like creative services and fulfillment and many others. But really the big challenge here, and how I became part of this integration, was we met through NEXUSSHIFT, and they asked me to be a consultant to help them with how do they bring these 3 organizations together to integrate them into a powerhouse resource to help organizations maximize their brand power through the services they provide. And it just really excited me, right? Because you're looking at the people aspect, you're looking at processes, efficiencies, and of course, brand and the importance of that. And it was just really exciting. I've done a lot of this type of work before, and I was like, yeah, this sounds great. And then I asked the question, Who am I consulting? And then they were like, well, can you do it? And I was like, well, yeah.
Can you execute the stuff you're talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, I absolutely can do it. That's awesome. It's a little bit of a different model. I had a couple clients at that time, so it wasn't able to just be like, hey, I can shed all the clients and just take this on full time. But we worked through that, and that the majority of my time right now is absolutely taken up with Proof, and I'm loving it, and it's incredible. We're actually launching externally the macro brand of Proof, which is over the top of Hireman, Delzer, and Son, this week, which is it's an incredibly exciting time, and it's timely that we're here talking about it.
Yeah, and we have had a front row seat at watching the brand come to life and how the old brands have all been integrated in the new look and feel and everything. Yeah. And I mean, it's not just brand, it's also people.
Absolutely.
Right? So you've got teams from different locations that have been there for X number of years.
Yeah.
And you're unifying all of them to have one cohesive brand power moving forward.
That's right.
Which is not always easy.
No,
right?
It is not.
And we can talk more about Proof.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about stuff that has to do with like organizational shifts and elevation.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up one day saying like, I want to do this. Like how did you get to the point where you have the experience and you've been through some things with other companies and other opportunities like how did you get to that point where you're now able to partner with organizations to be able to take their brands and elevate them in such a like experienced and efficient way?
Yeah. They always say you never know what you're going to do when you grow up. And I still don't. I never pictured myself as, hey, I'm going to be a consultant and I'm going to help organizations do this work. I was a pre-med guy. I was going to go to school to be an orthopedic surgeon. I'm like, that's for sure what I'm going to do. But I met my wife and I'm like, dang it, I met her too early. Thank God. But, married early, had kids, and I didn't want to go to school to be a doctor. But what I found out very early on in my career is that I have really high empathy. I care about people more than I care about anything else. I care about their success. I care about how they feel. I care about the feelings they get when they have really successful work. And I noticed that in my first professional job, I worked for Johnson & Johnson, and I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. And I found that the best times I had early in that job were when we were out east. They would bring us all out east. There's a ton of us. We're all learning the products and how to sell them. And but at night, there were a lot of people who struggled with the anatomy and physiology or the biochem or the pharmacokinetics. All the technical stuff of pharmaceuticals, right? Which they have to know in order to be able to consult a provider. But I loved the most helping them prepare for their exams, learn the material, and how do you take that and to be able to articulate that into like a conversation with a provider. And the reason I enjoyed it the most is because people, regardless of where they come from, we have to lean in and believe that they're capable of anything within their God-given abilities. And so I was immediately drawn to this, like seeking to find opportunities to help. So I did my day job, pharmaceutical sales. It was awesome. Some of the best training I've ever had, trained me on like territory management, business analysis, marketing, all this stuff. Very thankful for that role. From there, that role, the pharmaceutical industry really started to change. It went from a very consultative sell with providers to a 30-second marketing pitch. And it did that because now doctors had access to all the information because of all those who may be a little bit younger listening right now. There was a time where doctors needed to get information from people. They didn't have the internet to get all the information.
Just type it in and
they can't just type it in and get it.
Yeah.
That's right. So they needed us to carry that information to them. So when that started happening, they started decreasing the sizes of the sales forces and really changing it into a marketing pitch. And I lost that consultative nature of the business, and it didn't make me happy anymore. And I ended up meeting a woman by the name of Tracy who worked with the Wirtz family. And so the Wirtz family, they own the Chicago Blackhawks, and they also own, now they are part owners of Breakthrough Beverage. But when I worked for them, it was Wirtz Beverage. And so I got to meet Danny Wirtz, and Danny Wirtz is now the chairman and CEO of the Wirtz family businesses. He's a brilliant man, and I worked for him and his father. And they asked me if, actually Danny asked me specifically, do you think you can bring the rigor, the professionalism, and the go-to-market style of pharmaceuticals to the wine and spirit world, right, for distribution across the United States? I said, I don't know, but it sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. It really does. And that's how I ended up in that business.
Let's take a second to pause this conversation, and I want to say thank you for tuning in. If you find this conversation valuable, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. This podcast is part of the BC Podcast Network and produced and recorded by Be Connected, a social media and digital marketing firm in Northeast Wisconsin. If you find this conversation to be really impactful, I encourage you to share it with a friend or a peer or a colleague, as they might find it useful as well. Now let's dive back in.
Now, when I went to Wirtz, there were so many things that were transpiring very quickly at that time. We were in 5 different states. Each one of those states had different names, right? So in Wisconsin, it was Edison Liquor. In another state, it was Judge and Dolph. In another state, it was Griggs Cooper.
So there wasn't a central brand that was able to just like...
There was not a central brand or anything in that nature. So that was one of the things as Danny started to take on more responsibility with Rocky in the transition of this business. They were like, hey, with the consolidation that's happening in this market, we need a stronger brand. We need a stronger presence. We need a bigger seat at the table when it came to really large clients like Costco, clients like Sam's, or from our supplier groups, suppliers like Diageo or Brown-Forman, who owns Jack Daniels. And so, having a bird's eye view to all of this change, right, was incredible for my career. And I loved it, because Danny Wirtz became my mentor. And there were a lot of times and situations throughout that time that I was able to participate in this transformation. Like, what does the brand look like? And what are we going to do for the intranet? And how is this going to reflect with our people? And what steps do we need to take to make sure that our people know that they've got ground underneath them, and that doesn't need to scare them. It should inspire them, but change always scares people.
Yeah.
So what practices do we take to make sure that the people are taken care of, they're inspired, they're valued, they know their part in it, and they know what they need to do to be successful themselves in order to help the organization become successful. So I worked for them for almost 11 years.
How many Blackhawks games did you attend when you were in those 11?
A lot. A lot. It's got to be greater than 20, which I'm very thankful for. And I'm going to be honest, is probably one of the biggest things I miss the most. Those Blackhawk games are amazing. We were there, they won in 2010. They won in 2020, the cup. And actually, I have a picture of my daughter in the cup, in the Stanley Cup.
In the cup.
In the cup.
That's awesome.
So when we won in 2010, we brought the Stanley Cup up to Milwaukee, to the wholesaler, Wirtz Beverage, Wisconsin, and we had it at Miller Park. It was Miller Park then. And we had thousands of our clients in Wisconsin come to look at the cup and get a picture with it. Well, my wife and I were up by the cup before the line started, and they have security guards for the cup. And you don't get to touch the cup.
No.
You don't get to touch it.
Nope.
But if you have a baby with you, you get to put the baby in the cup. And I didn't know this. We walk up, and he just said right away, he's like, put the baby in the cup. We're like, what? Are you serious? Put the baby in the cup. It's tradition. You have to. So we put...
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so we put Olivia. Olivia's 10 months old at the time, just this little, right? Put her inside the cup. We got pictures of it. So... we had another child in 2012. Olivia was born in 2010, and what do you know? Blackhawks win again in 2012. So there were a lot of people with the Wirtzes and with the Blackhawks team that were just like, Jeff, when are you going to have another child?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you learn about scaling and unifying
Yeah.
multiple different brands
Mhm.
together within a beverage industry,
Yeah,
vastly different than pharmaceutical sales,
very
right?
much.
Where did that take you after that?
When I was going through my experience with the Wirtzes, I had always had these aspirations of like running a company. Running one of the Wirtzes states is what I really wanted to do. And as that business started changing in regards to its consolidation, and then the Wirtz family joined forces with the Marinoff family on the East Coast, now you have more family, right? There's more family. I know it sounds almost gangsterish.
I was going to say, this is like, are we talking business or are we talking mafia here?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because if all statistics hold true, and I believe they do, 5 families in the United States control about 90% of the distribution in the United States of alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're the same 5 families that were there when Prohibition ended.
That's kind of crazy story.
And it's really good lobbying.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got some great packs.
Yes.
So as I could see as those things were happening, I was getting a little bit older, right? My kids were getting a little bit older. And that business really attunes itself to like entertainment and going out. And I didn't have as much family time either. And so I was starting to think about like, hey, what's my next step? Where should I go? Wasn't really sure. The opportunity that I thought I was going to be going into, right? Thank God for everything that he doesn't answer. Because I didn't get the state job.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was called up by Nature's Way, right? So Nature's Way in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I was actually called by a recruiter, incredible recruiter by the name of Shabnam. She's fabulous. She called me up and she's like, hey, I really think, she's like, you have this unique skill set that you need to take this job. You need to talk to them. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What are we talking about? She's just like, well, Nature's Way, vitamins, supplements, medical foods. They're going through a major transformation in their go-to-market strategy. They're looking for people who really understand how do you segment and target client. To begin with, it was against a practitioner-focused group. And they need somebody to lead the sales force, integrate CRM, really looking how they're maximizing brand, and really positioning themselves as the leader of integrative nutraceuticals.
And when you talk about it like that, it makes sense of how the prior experiences that you have just kind of like fit into that.
Yeah, because when you look at some of these major these transformations or people who are looking for this shift, this dynamic shift, the consistencies remain the same. It's the people. Where are they at? What do they know and understand? And how do you meet them where they're at in order to help them transition, to help the organization succeed? Because not just one person or a team of people that are overseeing this transition can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just tell people what to do and say this is what's going to, and they're going to be inspired and excited and start doing that work. There's really understanding where are the employees at currently, not just in their mindset and in the culture, but where are they at currently in their capacities and capabilities? Because as that organization evolves, you're going to have to know, well, that individual's role is going to be changing by 20, 30%. And they don't know or understand what that 30% is yet.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we teach that in?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example of the people component of making sure that your people are being taken care of. Because what I have seen before, unfortunately, with a different business that we did this with, they let those people go, and they brought in somebody who they thought would have the higher expertise of the new way they're looking to go to market. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And what they lost was all of the tribal knowledge.
Yeah, right.
All of the history.
Industry, clients.
All of it.
You name it. Yeah.
And then I had owners or executives coming to me saying, how the hell did this happen? And we were like, well, we told you not to let those people go because they knew how to do this.
Yeah, which then affects retention of customers. Yeah.
It really, really went in a difficult place.
Yeah.
Right. So but getting back, it's that foundation of really understanding where are people at now. What are their capabilities? How do you need to meet them where they're at to ensure that they have confidence, positivity, and an awareness of where the organization is going? Because right now, more than ever, in my opinion, people work for, buy from, partner with organizations who they love and trust.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't love and trust you, they're gone.
Right.
There's opportunity all over this place.
Yeah.
This world. And if you, as organizations, we have a responsibility to provide that. But then, once you're going through that, all the other stuff remains the same regardless of the industry. It's what's your point of differentiation? How are you amplifying that to the world? And are you amplifying that to the world in a way that is consumable given the times that we're in today, right? Because the way that we would amplify proof 5 years ago is very different than the way we would amplify proof now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that organizations right now are truly struggling with being able to adapt as fast as consumers and businesses are needing to see in a different way how that brand's being amplified or how it connects with me
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not I want to work with you.
Yeah, for sure. And that credibility and that trust,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, there's a lot of things that are spinning around my head just hearing you talk about that. But what I've learned is that the trust is something that takes the longest to build,
100%.
and it's the quickest to cut.
No doubt.
Right. So
Absolutely.
if you're going through change and you're going through growth and you're growing through the I guess navigating of different brands and messaging and like all that kind of stuff, or even just framework of like who's working on what and who's working with who and like what job do I have now. If you do that in a way that then breaks trust with a customer or client, that they can't rely on you or trust you anymore with the value that they expect from you, it's hard to get that back.
Very.
Or you got to rebuild it from somewhere else.
Exactly.
And why build it from somewhere else if you already have
Exactly.
the foundation to go off of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say the name of the organization to protect the innocent, but I was working with an organization that was going through a major change, and they had somebody internal that would have been perfect fit for running the organization, and the decision was made that they were going to go outside the organization to get somebody new, somebody that was more relatable to the owners, if you will.
Sure.
And at this point, well, I can't say what my title was because then I'll just give everything away. But let's just say
you were involved.
I was involved.
We'll just say that
I was involved. And I had a conversation with the ownership group, and I just said, hey, I'm not trying to be a negative, whatever they say, but if you do this, your organization is in jeopardy. You are going to lose your top talent. Your sales are not going to go as well as you think they are, and you're going to end up having to rebuild in about 2 to 3 years. And I wish I would have recorded it. I really do, because within 6 months there was 100% turnover of the C-suite.
Yikes.
We had 60% turnover of the marketing team that first year, 35% turnover of our sales team, and 2 years later, they had to hire a new CEO.
And what did that do to customer retention?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
I can imagine.
Business, I left, but business did not continue, and the community reputation went as well, right?
Yeah.
Which, community base is really important. And so, it's, and this isn't about me thinking that I'm all intelligent because of that I, somewhat predicted it. It's more about owners and executives need to take really, really close care to understand where their people are and what their people need to have inspirational and foundational growth.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like, oh, I predicted this, I'm right, but like you can learn from that.
100%.
You can learn from that, and everybody else can learn from that. And it's too bad that it has to happen, and people lose their jobs, or
Yeah.
the economy, local economy or community or whatever is affected by it.
Right.
But it is helpful to learn from.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's a lot that can be
Yeah.
taken away from that.
Or conversely, right? I look at Proof. I look at what we're doing right now, and what we did at Proof is, we had great partners in Chrome, and of course with Be Connected in many aspects. At the initial stages of our, I'll call it a brand excavation, right? We didn't need. When I learned a lot more about Delzer, Sun, and Hireman, it was very clear we didn't need to change who they were. We don't need to change who they are. These organizations have been around from 60 to 100 years, and they're very successful businesses. What we needed to do is we needed to identify why have they been existing for as long as they have? Why have they been as successful as they have been? How do the people articulate that? What does winning look like to you? How would you say, what words would you use to describe Hireman at its very best? What words would you use to describe Delzer or Sun? And Chrome did a phenomenal job in working with them and really taking out the biases that I would have had if I did these things myself, because I shouldn't be, right? And really interviewing cross-section of the organization, not just executives, not just people who have been there for 25 years. Like, we really wanted to make sure we had people from sales, people from HR, people from finance, working on the floor, people that are very tenured to people who just arrived, and asking them these types of questions to help get an understanding of the underbelly of what does the organization feel? How do they feel about the work that they do? And truly what came out of it could not have been more inspirational. And there was so much connection between the three. And they really surrounded hard work, satisfying the customer, right? I mean, in doing what you say you're going to do and making sure that you have your team's backs. Like, the things that, like, any person, if you were to ask them, what would you look for an employee or a partner that you work with, that are like, I want this. And it's one thing to say it, but we saw it as well, right? We're going through this huge transformation. We're asking them to work differently. We're throwing so much at them. And the amount of the tenacity they had to just own it and satisfy the client and help us move forward and work. It was really inspiring. So it was, for us, I say, for me, it was easy, right? We just had to package what the people told us the organization was. I mean, your people have a ton of value and more knowledge than most executive ever will.
Yeah. And you could do a whole show on just like the future of the world with AI and digital and all that kind of stuff. But in a world of AI now, where you can fabricate anything.
Yes.
When you're blending together teams and you're blending together brand and trust and client relationships and everything like that, I think you guys are going to be set up for success now because of the authenticity.
Yeah.
Not the made up fabricated stuff that you could go into ChatGPT and say, like, hey, give me a few taglines, or give me a few quotes, or give me a few whatever. The realness that the team will relate to, the clients will still have, the customers that will still come to appreciate, will set you up for success of growing the brand in the future, because it's real, it's authentic, and people still crave that, and they still want that, and they will see that it's real.
Yes.
Because it will come from the inside out.
Absolutely.
So I really admire the brand work that you've done internally and externally in order to bring it to the point that it's at.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
And it's also led to some outside recognition.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jeff over here was recently awarded or part of the 2026 class of the Titan 100.
Yes.
For the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Leaders in the space. And I think that's a testament to the work you're doing with them and how you're able to help, brands and companies grow like that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to talk about because I don't like talking about myself, but I'm humbled by it. I'm really excited about it. But again, I would say that this award is a representation of being people-focused and helping others succeed. And it is a culmination, and the award is given because I had a lot of people that believed in me and worked with me and helped bring these things to life.
Awesome. Okay, so in order to kind of summarize things, that you've given us so much that we can learn from, just with like your experiences along the way, the different brands that you've worked with, different industries that you worked with. Amazing. Thank you. But if you were to leave a listener or a viewer, if you're on video, with a nugget that they could apply to helping their own brand grow authentically, what would you tell them?
I think one of the biggest things you need to do if you have your own brand is you need to get rid of your ego. And you need to find people who will actually give you feedback unfiltered, internally and externally. And you need to ask them questions that are not, you're not trying to lead them somewhere. Ask them questions like, when you see my brand, what do you think of? How does it make you feel? Tell them what you're trying to do. I'm trying to sell more widgets. Do you think my webpage, my LinkedIn, my posts, my content, the way our organization represents itself, positions it for that? I think too often, especially we're humans. We're built to protect ourselves, and we think we know everything. I actually just put a post out on LinkedIn this morning talking about friction. Bring more friction into your brand. Bring more people that will challenge you to your core, to the point where it actually makes you uncomfortable.
Healthy friction.
Healthy friction, right? Healthy friction, positive disruption. These are words that I play with all the time. You need people in your life that will not sit there and tell you everything's great. And it's not that you take it all and you try and do it all at one time, but you look for the commonalities internally and the commonalities externally, because you will find them. You'll find commonalities. And look at the ones that you think are causing the greatest disruption on what you're trying to bring to market, and then put together a strategic plan to go against it, because you can do that. What I find is really hard for most brand owners or brand executives is that they see a challenge, they see something wrong, and they'll say it out loud, and they'll say things like, hey, we really need to fix this. We're not reaching this category or demographics of people. So let's fix it. Let's do that. Can you work on that? And then they move on.
Yeah.
Where there is a strategic process you can follow step by step that can help you get there. I know that was a long answer, but to make it completely short, surround yourself with people that challenge you and listen without biasing.
And ask the right questions.
Yeah, ask the right questions for real.
But thank you. Thanks to all listeners for tuning in, and appreciate your time, and good luck with the continued brand growth moving forward.
Thank you. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much once again to Jeff Satterberg from NEXUSSHIFT for joining me in the studio today. As I said earlier, if you find this to be compelling or insightful or valuable to you in any way, please subscribe on any of the platforms that you're getting this on. If you want to know more about what Jeff does for the brands that he works with, reach out and I'd be happy to get you in touch with him. Thanks, and have a great day. If today's conversation sparks some ideas for your own business growth, visit BeConnectedLLC.com to subscribe to our newsletter for more strategic insights delivered straight to your inbox. And don't forget to subscribe to the show and share it with other business leaders who could benefit from these growth conversations.